We're live.
I'd like to call the meeting to order and acknowledge that we are in Treaty 1 territory, the home and traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, Ojibwe, Innu, Cree, and the Dakota peoples, and the national homeland of the Red River Métis. Our drinking water comes from Shoal Lake 41st Nation in Treaty 3 territory. I'm Marcel Larondo. I'll be chairing. Bill Mariski and Richard Whitebread are our panel members. John Robertson is our secretary. Jason Robertson is our secretary. And Matthew Harling is our assessor. And also we'll have Travis Gretchen as an assessor. Thank you.
No problem.
We will be hearing applications for revision of assessment roll in accordance with the Municipal Act. The matters to which revisions are requested have been described in each application, and we will limit the discussions to those matters. The statements that are made at this hearing are sworn testimony. Anyone speaking to the matter must be sworn in. Be advised that comparisons of assessment of properties are not considered evidence of market value by the Board of Revision. The Board of Revision is appointed annually by council and is independent of it and the city administration. It makes its decisions on the basis of the evidence provided at this hearing and issues written orders that will be mailed to all parties as soon as possible. Please note that the board's decision with respect to the application may be appealed to the Manitoba Municipal Board if the matter pertains to assessed value or classification, or the Court of Queen's Bench if the matter pertains to an application of exemption from taxation. Should you wish to appeal, information on how to do so will be included with the board order. With respect to the hearing process, I will confirm the points of appeal with your property to be addressed with each applicant following the swearing in. We will then have the assessor's testimony followed by questions that the appellant may have, and then the appellant's testimony followed by questions. Each side will have an opportunity to summarize if they wish. Once all the evidence about an application has been brought forward, the applicant may leave. The process will repeat for each item on the docket today. The session will close after the applicants have been heard, and the board will deliberate in private to make its decisions. You will receive the board's decision by registered mail as soon as possible. As information, all public hearings are live streamed, recorded, and will be part of the public record. We'll be hearing items 1, 3, 6, and 9 on our docket today. Mr. Robertson, please affirm the assessors and the applicant's testimony.
Mr. Gretchen or Mr. Harling, please state your full name.
Matthew Harling.
Do you affirm that the evidence you are about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
Mr. Gretchen, please state your full name.
Travis Gretchen.
Do you affirm that the evidence you are about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Mr. Van Bruggen, please state your full name.
Thank you. Wesley Van Bruggen.
Do you affirm that the evidence you are about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do. Thank you.
Mr. Sharples, please state your full name.
Grayson Sharples.
Do you affirm that the evidence you are about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
We'll start on file number. We'll start with the 1365 Spruce Street. Travis, if you want to read this one on the record, this is all on value, according to what I'm seeing. Correct?
Correct.
Okay. Go ahead.
All right. File number is 22-3567. The roll number is 130104040000. Address 1365 Spruce Street. The roll year is 2023. Reference date April 1st, 2021. And we have an assessed value $913,000. There's one building. The actual year and effective year are both 2002, and our wall height is 23 feet. We have a land area of 34,971, a plan area of 9,600, also leasable area of 9,600, giving us a land to plan of 3.64. Onto the second page. So there's been no mailer received. However, due to recent sale and having new owners, they may not have had the information to submit. There is a sale, but it's post-reference. The dated sale is August 17th, 2021, and there are no subject leases in place. On to page 3, you'll see our workup. So once again, leasable area is 9,600 square feet. We have a rent of $6.62 per square foot and a potential rent of $63,552. Our vacancy is 6.5%, and this gives us an effective gross income of $59,421. 3% is applied for expenses, and a $3.85 per square foot for shortfall. This gives us a net operating income of $55,236. We have a cap rate of 6.05%, and we end up with an estimated value of $913,000. Moving on to page 4 for the comparables. So we have 6 comparables here. Buildings all of similar type. We have a range and lease start dates between 2017 and 2020. Our lease terms are between 3 and 5 years, and the lease area for comparables range from 5,265 square feet to 11,543 square feet. Our wall heights range from 16 feet to 24 feet, and our effective year built is between 1963 and 2011. Our net rent ranges from $6 to $9.75. The subject property, as mentioned, was 9,600 square feet, rent of $6.62, 2002 year built, and a 23-foot wall height. Moving to page 5 for the cap rates. So you'll see that the cap rate does fall in the city's 20 to 80 percentile. It also fits the published cap rates from Colliers, CBRE, and Cushman and Wakefield. My page 6 just contains the Municipal Assessment Act information there. And then moving to page 7, which would be the start of the appendix, you will see maps for the subject property. So the first map here shows where the property is located, which is a central area of the city near Notre Dame and close to St. James. The second one here is just a zoomed in map where it shows the building location on Spruce Street there. Moving to my page 8, we have 2 photos here from the street view. And then page 9 will show an overhead view at the top. The second photo is just a different angle for the parcel. Page 10 and 11 will also provide different angles for the parcel, showing the building and the lot. And then page 11, we have another one. This one shows that the overhead doors are located at the front of the building. My pages 12 to 15 include the city mail out for the mailer. However, as mentioned previously, we do not have a current mailer. We were aware of the sale. And I think our last mailer was received. Yes, so from the previous owner submitted back in 2009. And this concludes my presentation. I find the value to be fair and equitable, and I ask that the board please confirm this value. I am now open for questions.
Wesley, do you have any questions?
No questions from me, Mr. Chair. Grayson?
Grayson, do you have any questions?
No questions for me either. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Bill, do you have any questions?
Maybe just a clarification on the building size. If you can reference, page 10, the lower picture. So it's just a building on the left then? It's not that building on the top of that picture, correct?
Correct. The building on the top, you'll see a small number there referencing 1355. So the next building over is on a separate parcel. Our parcel line is just kind of out of line with where the building is based on when we change the angle for the photo.
But it looks like those two buildings do butt right up against each other, though. Is that correct? Agree with that? On the top picture, it looks like it's like right against the building almost.
If you go to page 11, you'll see there is a small gap between the two buildings. But I do see what you're looking at on page 10. It does look like it from that angle, but page 11 does show that there are separate parcels and there is a separation between the two buildings.
Oh yeah, probably about maybe. Okay, that's all the questions I had.
Richard, do you have any questions?
I have none, thank you.
And I have none. On with your presentation, Wesley.
Mr. Sharples is actually going to present this one.
Okay. Grayson?
Yeah, thanks everyone. So I'll just begin on page 3. Everyone can just let me know when they're there.
Oh, you can say we're there.
Okay. So just a brief description of the property. So as mentioned, it's a 9,600 square foot warehouse. It's located in Sargent Park, and it's been assessed using the income approach to value. So it's been assessed at $913,000. We believe that is incorrect, and our requested assessment amount would be $789,000. Moving on to page 4 here, we just have a snippet of the assessment taken from the online search. Again, just showing the assessed value of $913,000. On page 5 here, we have our requested assessment. So we haven't taken issue with anything in the assessment other than the capitalization rate. And so for this, we will be requesting that the cap rate be bumped up to 7%. And as a result, the requested assessment value of $789,000. On page 6, we have the assessment map, also taken from the online search. Satellite map, similar to what Travis presented on the following page. And again, some similar property photos on page 8. So on page 9 here, we start our valuation. So we've pulled some sales using the Johnson report. And actually, I think it might be easier if we flip to page 10. I apologize, I worked kind of backwards through this. So we've looked at comparable properties and found the following sales. So the assessment of the subject property was for $913,000, which leads to a value of $95 on a per square foot basis. So we see from these sales below here that similar properties are selling from rates ranging from closer to $62 to $91. And we see here that there's an average of $82.54 and a median of $86.09. So we believe that this shows that the subject property has been overvalued. And from these sales, using our requested value of $789,000 would lead to a value on a per square foot basis of $82, which is much more in line with these sales. From these sales, I'd just like to highlight a few of them that we felt were closest comparables. The first one is that third one down, 691 Jarvis. And if we flip to page 18, we have a photo of this property. And so we can see here, it appears to be fairly similar to the subject. It's got a fenced yard, just looks fairly similar. And bumping up back to page 11, we can see that this is the closest comparable in year of construction. It was built in 1992. The land area is closest as well. So I made note of that. The yard, the fenced yard around there, similar in terms of that, and site coverage as well. I don't have that calculation included in the table. And it's got the same zoning. So we feel that that's our closest comparable property. That one's been assessed at $83, or that one sold at a value of $83.33 per square foot. A second sale that we felt was comparable was the bottom one, 301 Lulu. And the picture for that one is on page 23 for reference. And again, just based on these photos we've included from our sales, this just appears to be more closely comparable to the subject property than some of the other sales. And so back on the table on page 11, we see again, this was built in 1987. So this is closer in year of construction to the subject. 11,558 square feet. So again, fairly close in size to the subject. And this sold at a value of $86.09 per square foot. So again, kind of just a summary of this page. All these sales, we got an average of $82.54 per square foot and a median of $86.09 per square foot compared to the assessed value of $95.10 per square foot. And so from here, I'll jump back up to page 9 to go over the capitalization rate. So unfortunately, we don't have access to the financials for any of these properties to help derive the rental rate to come up with the net operating income. So instead, what we've done is we've just used the assessed rate of $6.62. There's a typo in the paragraph below there. It says $6.29. We use $6.62. And then we've used the same assessed vacancy rate, expense allowance, and shortfall amount. And from that, we get an average cap rate of 7.09% and a median of 6.68%. And so we feel that a capitalization rate of 7% would be reasonable to be applied to this property. And if we look at our closest comparable at 691 Jarvis, we see that the calculated capitalization rate for that one would be 6.9%. So fairly reasonable, we believe. On the following page, page 10, we just have a map of all these comparable sales to show that they're in reasonably close proximity to the subject property. And then finally, just moving on to page 12, kind of in summary. So again, the only issue we've taken with this property is the assessed capitalization rate. We are requesting that that rate be bumped up to 7%, as you can see highlighted in the table below. And that leads to a total requested value of $789,000. And then starting on page 13, we just have our supporting documentation. So we have the notice of hearing in there just for reference. And then starting on page 15 through to 23, we have just the photos of all the subject properties we've used, or the comparable properties we've used. On pages 24 through 37, 36, 30, 35, sorry, it would appear, is we have the snippets from the Johnson report, which is where we gather our sales information from. And then after that is just the City of Winnipeg guidelines for the assessment of income producing properties. So with that, I conclude my presentation. Welcome any questions.
Matthew, questions?
I do not have any questions. I'm just going to converse with my colleague and see if he has any here. No, I'm good. I think I'm good. Okay, Matthew also does not have any questions.
Okay, thank you. Richard, do you have any questions?
I have none, thank you.
Bill, do you have any questions?
Yes, on your page 11, your sale prices that you have there. So did you come up with an adjusted sale price rate based on the 2021 amount?
No, these are just the sales listed in the Johnson report. I believe it's just the value on the transfer document.
So when you came up with your rent comparables, page was that? Anyways, I guess my question is, you use the actual amounts for each of these based on the actual sale date. So if you had used 301 Lulu, for example, you would have used the January 2017 amount of $995,000, correct?
Correct.
Okay, that's all my questions.
Let's start with your, when you're looking at, well, we can do them both at the same time, the cap rate and the sales. The, on your chart, you don't put the heights of the ceilings on those properties.
Yeah, so we try to when the information is available. Unfortunately, on the Johnson report, it's kind of hit or miss. So only about half the properties actually had a wall height listed. So I just decided to exclude that column from the table.
Do you think wall heights would have an effect on the cap rate?
I wouldn't necessarily say that. I'm not sure. Perhaps Mr. Van Bruggen would have a better idea of that, having been in the industry longer. I don't know.
We're going to go to Grace with that, eh?
I think to a certain, I appreciate the question, Mr. Chair. And I mean, to a certain extent, it probably, there certainly would be, I think an investor would probably be willing to pay a little bit more for a property with a higher clear wall height versus a lower clear wall height. As much as it would be great to have a perfect comparable, none of them ever exist. So we do our best when it comes to trying to identify as many factors that are similar as possible. So that's why we look at a wide number of properties when we're taking a look at the capitalization rate, as well as we try to get as close as we can in terms of age or size of the building. So yeah.
It's just I take a look at, okay, so this property has a nice ceiling height. I believe was 20. I gotta get back to the top again.
Subject properties 23.
Yeah, 23 feet on the subject. But if I look at your pictures on the bottom, those are all your sold, your sales, right on the bottom?
On which page? Sorry, Mr. Chair.
Starting at page 15.
Yes, yeah, the pictures. Yes, correct.
Okay, so 15 is which one now? That would be
15 would be for 1041 Aaron.
okay, and that's very low ceilings, correct?
Yeah, so that probably looks to me like kind of a 10 to 12 foot clear wall foot.
So that would not be a good comparable then, correct?
Yeah, so that one would probably be more. That one was chosen more due to the location of the property as well as the size of the property. So that property was roughly 6,500 square feet, and the location is in fairly close proximity to the subject property.
And that was a sold property at how much?
That one sold for $575,000, so roughly $90 a square foot.
Yeah. And then we go down to your next one. That's the same one on page.
Yeah, that's just another view.
Is the same one, just shows you the length of the building.
Yeah.
Then your next one, you've got 8, 16, 7. Probably still under 20 feet. Hard to tell.
722. Yeah, I'm just trying to take a look there. I mean, I would guess probably 16 to 18.
Yeah.
Give me a sec here. I'm seeing if yeah, I think that one's about 16. I think the 16-foot clear wall height on that one.
Yeah, that's because you got your 3 on your joist. So
yeah, that would be kind of my thoughts on that.
yeah, and then so on 18, that's the back of the building, correct?
18. Yeah. No, so 18, so 17 is the side. 18 is page 18 is 691 Jarvis.
Okay. There you got a 12.
So
Okay. How much was that one per square foot?
691 Jarvis, that one was the 83 a square. 691 is $83.33 a square foot.
Year built?
1992.
One was our.
And then the next one is low ceiling again on 19.
Page 19, 1412. Yeah, that's on Aaron. That, I'd probably say we're in the 10 to 12 foot clear wall height. Again, that's more so location and based on the size of the property.
Understand. And the next one is Wilderness Supply on, again, the low one.
That's page 20, 530 wall. Yeah, I imagine that we're probably in the 12 to 14 foot clear wall height, give or take there.
And again, these are more.
Oh, you're talking page 21. Yeah.
More multi-purpose. They're not really for storage as such. So.
Yeah. They'd be more light. They'd probably be more along the lines of light manufacturing, kind of the distribution retail use sort of situation.
And then your 23, page 23. Yeah, it's still not a high ceiling.
And that, the use for 301 Lulu would be more similar. But you're right. I'm just trying to see if the ceiling there looks, I mean, there's certainly a couple sizes on that. I imagine, it kind of looks like you're sloping.
Yeah.
At the peak, I'd imagine it's kind of hard to tell from the angle. I'd probably say you're probably between 12 to 16, give or take.
Yeah, but lower than the original.
Yeah, a little bit lower than the original. Yeah.
You got to remember, when they got a peak like that, it's the trusses that are going up, not the ceiling.
Yeah, no, it's that's fair. Although I do think on the far side there might be some sections there that are a little bit higher, but yeah.
You have to be patient with me as I go back now.
For sure.
So Lulu was at 86.
Yep.
86 would put you $4 more per square foot than what you're at on this one, correct?
Yeah, so 86 would put us at, so the value in the property is at 95. At 95 a square foot, we're asking for 82. And I think when you take a look at the comparables, as Mr. Sharples pointed out, 691 Jarvis, we kind of talked about that one that one's got a higher clear wall height. That's at 83 a square foot, 1992 year construction. And then 301 Lulu is that 11,000 square feet at 86 a square foot. So.
Okay, leave it with me. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Anything in summation from either of you?
I'm okay, thank you.
You're good?
Yep.
And Wesley and Grayson, you're okay? No summation?
No, I think we're okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you very much for your presentation. We're going to move on to the next item, which will be on 580 Barry. If you could give us a minute to get there.
Yeah, thank you. Here, this one.
Barry, number 3, right?
Yes, number 3.
This always takes me a second. Gentlemen, are we ready? Bill and Richard?
Yep.
Okay. Matthew, when you're ready, read her on.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
This is 580 Berry Street, and it's all value, correct?
Yes, just quantum. Yes, correct.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The file number is 22-558. The roll number is 07560169900. The address is 580 Berry Street, and the owners are Triton Investment Company Limited. The 2023 assessed value based on a reference date of April 1st, 2021 is $1,518,000. If you look at the bottom of page 1, you'll see the property description information. One-story building. The actual and effective year built are 1957. The wall heights are 12 feet. The land area is 48,437 square feet with a plan area of 20,000 square feet, as well with a leasable area of 20,000 square feet.
which then gives us an actual overall land to plan area of 2.42. If we go to page 2 of my brief, you'll see the request for income information has been received. There has been no recent sales on the subject, and there are no subject property leases in place. Turn to page 3 of my brief. If you look at the income workup of the subject, you'll see the leasable areas again at 20,000 square feet. We are applying a model rent of $5.81 a square foot. This gives us a potential rent of $116,200. We're allowing 7% for vacancy, which gives us the effective gross income of $108,066. We're allowing 3% for non-recoverable expenses, as well as $3.85 a square foot as shortfall, which gives us an overall net operating income of $99,434. We're applying an overall capitalization rate of 6.55%, which gives us an estimated value of $1,518,000. If we go to page 4 of my brief, you'll see my rent comparables. So the comparables, you'll see there where the locations are. So these are very close to the subject: Sargent, Notre Dame, King Edward, Notre Dame Century. So these are all very close within the subject property same market region. The lease start dates range from 2016 to 2020. The lease terms range from 2 to 7 years. The leasable areas range from 15,000 square feet to 31,002 square feet. The wall heights range from 14 to 18 feet. The effective year built range from 1959 to 1969. And the net rents range from $6.25 a square foot to $8.78 a square foot. Again, we're using $5.81 a square foot as our model rent. I won't dispute some of these comparables would be superior in the sense of some wall heights and such, but very similar in age and wall and location and area. So I believe the fact that the lower wall height would be reflected in the rate we are applying. As you can see, these rates would be higher than the subject. So going to page 5 of my brief, just looking at some capitalization rate information. So you're looking under the industrial section. Again, we're applying a 6.55% cap rate. So that falls within the 20th to 80th percentile for properties for industrial properties in the city. And then just looking at the published rates, just Collier, CRB, Cushman & Wakefield. I believe our 6.55% cap falls within their indicated ranges. So I believe there is support for our cap rate as well. Page 6 of my brief is just a Municipal Assessment Act excerpt information. If we turn to page 7, you just see some subject property maps. At the top of the first map is just showing the kind of more of an overview of the subject where it's located on Berry Street. Just north, you can see Ellis Avenue, and just south, you can see St. Matthews. So this is obviously located within the St. James area. And if we go to page 7, you'll just see another photo, just as more closer photo of the subject property and where it's located on Berry Street. Turning to page 8 of my brief, you'll see a front view of the subject property at the top. And at the bottom, you'll just see kind of an angled view, just to kind of show a bit more of the building. Turning to page 9, you'll just get a better overview of the overall building and how it is situated on parcel of land. The top there. And at the bottom, you'll just see also just another photo of just where it's located. One thing I just like to note, just this may be a question that might pop up. I'm not sure you can see it in the top picture. You'll see there's actually a little bit of a jaunt that connects this building to the adjacent building north of it. So I will just like to note that the building just north of this building is actually owned by the same property owner. So they are theoretically, there is a connection between these two buildings, but they are assessed separately. They're two separate buildings. That's, I just wanted to let mention that to the board. There is the connection, but they are two separate buildings, but they are owned by the same property owner. So continue to page 10, you'll just see another photo of the subject. And as I should just mention, you can kind of see the different outlines of the two parcels. At the bottom of page 10, again, you'll just see just another view of the subject property. And then lastly, on page 11 of my brief, you'll just see another photo of the subject property just from the rear, just showing the back of the building. If we turn to page 12 of my brief, you'll see the property is fully owner occupied, so there is no leases in place. And this continues on page 13. That concludes my presentation. I ask the board to confirm the value, and I am open for any questions. Thank you.
Matthew?
Mhm.
Questions?
Yeah, I'm open for questions. Yeah.
Okay. Wesley, you got some questions?
Grayson, you want to go first if you have any questions?
I have no questions.
Yeah, and I think I'm okay for right now. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Bill, question?
I do not, no.
Okay. Richard?
Just one. That, I don't know what you call it, the passageway to the adjoining building, Matthew, is that on a different roll number? It's hard to tell by the map that the overhead view on page 10, but I think the line probably cuts off at the join.
Yeah, you know, if you, the best way to look at it would be actually on page 9. If you look at the top picture, it actually technically that little connection would be on the other roll number.
Okay.
The property above, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that clarifies. Thank you very much. No further questions.
Did you say they supplied a workup sheet for what they're on the property?
Apologize.
Yeah. What page was it on?
That would be page 9. Look at the top picture.
No, not the picture. I'm looking for their information that they sent to you.
Oh, their income, their workup. Oh, yes. Okay. That's actually on page 12.
Page 12?
Yeah.
That's their workup, but
Correct.
when they send you your list, you know, the information on the property on the mailer.
Yes, this one was filled online, so that's why it looks like this. So, like when property owners, they can either like send us a physical hard copy in that they scan in, or they can do it online. So when they do it online, we just take a screenshot of basically the information that they filled out. So this is how they filled it out. So.
Not on page 12.
I mean, that's the only information on the mailer we have, page 12 and 13. So.
No, you got page 16.
Oh, 16?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. My brief only has 13 pages. I'm not sure why there'd be more, unless I put something in there I shouldn't have. But I guess there might be a different issue with the page numbers. But yeah, I guess it would be in your case maybe 16. I guess then. So.
I only have 13 pages.
Yes, me as well.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
Okay. I guess it's just me. I better get on the right page then. 13, you said, right?
Correct. Or 12. It starts on 12. Yeah. So.
Guess I'm not as fast as you guys here.
I don't know. I have a hard copy, so I'm a little easier to check. So yeah.
Rental income, they're showing 94.5.
Yeah, they've shown, like, I will note, yeah, it is an owner occupied property. They have shown a net rent in there. I believe this is more like a book rent, to be honest with you. Like, I mean, they even indicated on the mailer when they submitted it, they said owner occupied. So you know, that's we didn't really include it because that's, you know, they've indicated it's fully owner occupied. So
What I was looking for, is there a tower on a cell tower on that property?
I don't believe so. And if there is, we don't have anything. No, I don't believe there's any cell tower in here that I can see. And we're definitely not assessing for anything like that. So.
Well, it would add to the value because they'd have a rental, right?
Yeah, like I said, I'm not sure where that, like, I'm not sure what that rent's, what that's pertaining to. Like, I tried to look at the mailer and get some more information on it, but again, there's really not much to go by, really. I noticed they really haven't shown any expenses either, so I thought that was interesting too, because I mean, yeah,
it doesn't give me much.
Yeah,
okay.
Exactly. So
let's go on to the presentation then. Wesley, are you presenting on this one?
Mr. Sharples will be presenting this one as well, and I'll hop in where needed.
Okay. Grayson, you're up.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So again, I'll start on page 3 of our document. So again, another quick description of this property. It's been assessed as a 20,000 square foot storage warehouse located in the St. James industrial area. It was built in 1957 and once again has been assessed using the income approach. The assessed value is $1,518,000. We believe that is incorrect, and our requested assessed value is $1,245,000. Again, on the following page, page 4, we just have the snippet of the current assessment. And on page 5, we have our requested assessment. So here on the middle column, I guess, middle left column of this table, we have the assessed valuation. And on the right, we have our requested amount. So we're requesting that the rental rate be reduced from $5.81 to $5.20, and that the capitalization rate be increased from 6.55% to 7.10%. And from this, we end up with our total requested assessment value of $1,245,000. On page 6 and 7, we just have the property valuation from the city of Winnipeg, that is. And then on page 8, again, we have the assessment map up top and a satellite map on the bottom. And again, kind of as Matthew noted there, this property you can see is connected to the property above it. That's the one at 590 Barrie. And then on page 9, we have a few more photos of the subject property. You can see in that bottom photo there, it's kind of hidden by that wooden fence, but that is where the two buildings connect, behind that, in that little area. So then on page 10 is where we start our valuation. So maybe start by looking at the photo in the bottom here. So here I've outlined that the two properties, it's 590 Barrie on the left. That is a 65,964 square foot, 65,964 square foot storage warehouse. Easy for me to say. So these two buildings are connected, and because of that, we believe that they would sell as one property and should be assessed. It should be assessed together as one building with an area of 85,964 square feet. Furthermore, if we just look at the map here, truck access to 580 Barrie, it doesn't look like any trucks could go in there, so they would have to use the entrance on, I believe it's Marjorie Street on the other side here. So they'd have to use the property at 590 Barrie to get truck access to that site. And so because of that and the fact that they are physically connected, we believe that these properties would sell together and should be assessed as one. And so if we jump down to page 16 of our brief, this is the assessment for 590 Barrie. So if we did the math here, we would determine that the assessed rental rate for this property would be $5.20. And so just moving back to page 10, since the two properties we believe should be assessed together, we believe that the assessed rental rate for this property should also be $5.20. Moving on to page 11, we've once again taken a look at the sales. So this property, the subject property, has been assessed at a value of $75.90 per square foot. And looking at the sales we've identified here, we see that the rates are ranging from roughly $50 to $80 per square foot. Again, want to go over a few of our sales here, starting with 160 Eagle. It is the second one down in the table. And if everyone turns to page 18, the bottom picture here is 160 Eagle. We believe that is our closest comparable. And so moving back to the table on page 11, that property has been assessed at $67 or it gets sold, sorry, at $67.56 per square foot. And then 1221 Sherwin is another sale we looked at. That is the fourth one down. And the photo for that is on page 19, also at the bottom. So here we see again, this is a bigger property. Just in looking at it, it looks fairly similar to the subject property. And I guess kind of while we're already in this section of the document, just on the following page, page 20, 1870 Sargent is another property we looked at and deemed as a close comparable. So then jumping back up to page 11 here, we have 1221 Sherwin. That one's been assessed at $73.17. And 1870 Sargent, which has been assessed at $55.33 or sold. Sorry, I keep saying that. And so in looking at all these sales overall, we get an average sale price of $62.93 per square foot and a median of $62.57 per square foot. So given that about $13 per square foot lower than the assessment, we believe that that could reasonably be reduced. And if we were to use our requested assessment value of $1,245,000, that would come out to a value on a per square foot basis of $62.27, which very closely aligns with all the sales outlined here. Turning to page 12, we have done a capitalization rate study. So this is using all the same sales identified above. Once again, we don't have the income information for these properties, so we've used the requested rental rate of $5.20 rather than the $5.81 that has been assessed. And I guess as I'm going through these, I should mention that, so these are all larger buildings in the subject property because we were looking at comparable sales of large warehouses under the assumption that this was an 85,000 square foot warehouse. And so from all these, we get an average cap rate of 7.19% and a median of 7.09%. And we've used the same vacancy rate, expense allowance, and operating costs as assessed. And so from all this, we would request that the capitalization rate be increased from 6.55% to 7.10%. So again, just on page 13, in summary, we will be requesting that the rental rate be reduced from $5.81 per square foot to $5.20 per square foot. And we're requesting that the capitalization rate be increased from 6.55% to 7.10%. And our overall requested value is $1,245,000. And again, in the appendices, we have the notice of hearing, that assessment information for 590 Barry, the other building, conjoined building. Pages 18 to 21, we have the comparable photos. Pages 22 to 34, we have the snippets from the Johnson report where we gathered our sales. And then again, it's the assessment guidelines beyond that. And so with that, I conclude the presentation and welcome any questions.
Matthew, questions?
Just a couple of small ones. So just the first one, I was curious, like, so the $5.20 rent you applied, that's based off of the assessed rate we're using at 590 Barry, is that correct, I guess, or?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. Okay. And my second question is, I think you kind of already mentioned this, but I'll just quickly ask is, so just looking at page 12, you read the capitalization rate information. Like I said, I know you don't have access to the rental information or the income information for these properties. So, again, I see how you derived your cap rates, but I guess these the net operating income you've applied for these properties, these wouldn't have been the actual net incomes from the sale prices, from the actual property when it's sold, correct? These are just like you're applying the parameters that you applied, like as you mentioned, our rental rate and our vacancies and expense and all that, correct? Or
Yeah, this is just our best estimate of
okay,
operating income would be.
okay. Those are my only questions. Thank you.
Richard, questions?
Yeah, a couple. I have some confusion here on a couple of issues, Grayson. First, are you asking the board at this hearing to modify this roll number to incorporate the larger building with the building we're actually hearing about?
Not at this hearing. We just think perhaps moving forward, the two should be combined into one roll number. But because these properties are conjoined and we would be of the opinion that they would sell together, we believe that they should be assessed with the same parameters. It doesn't make sense to us that part of that building would be assessed at $5.20, while another part of it would be assessed at $5.81.
So, Grayson, isn't there a due process for you to follow in order for that to happen in the future?
Yeah, I'm sure there would be.
Okay. Yeah. And if that were the case, and let's say the board today didn't accept your presentation, would that mean that your rent may be higher than what the 520 is? If we don't accept your presentation?
Sorry, could you please repeat that?
If we don't accept your presentation that the roll number should be rolled together today, you made your presentation for 520 rent on the premise of a very large building. Does that mean you would think your rent might go up if we just look at the smaller building today?
Maybe I can hop in here.
Yeah.
So thanks. Appreciate the question. Yes, if we were just looking at the 20,000 property at 20,000 square feet, we didn't look at what the rental rate would be. But we don't have any evidence to support if it's at 20,000. If it's just being considered at 20,000 square feet, then it's not $5.81 as assessed by the city. When we're looking at it, as Grayson indicated, we're looking at it as a whole. So understanding and respecting the fact that there is, a process to combine the building or get the buildings combined. This is our first year reviewing the property, and it was one of those processes that after we reviewed it and took a look at the property, we determined that they were attached and filing the appeal. So certainly something in the future that we'll look at doing. But at this point in time, for this set of hearings for this year, we felt that by valuing it as you would a larger building, it would correctly capture that value. So we're not asking the board to combine, the buildings in this hearing, but rather we're saying that that both properties are connected. It'd be our position that they would sell combined. And when we're looking at a valuation for the property, we should be looking at the valuation considering the overall building area.
I hear you. Thank you for that. Second point of clarification. I believe you stated in your evidence that you're looking at the income approach today. Your evidence said something at the front end about you using the income approach.
That's correct.
Value this property. Yes.
So
can you explain to me, so I understand, why you're sharing all of the sales approach information with us? I'm a little bit puzzled by that, Wesley.
Certainly. So, Gracie, maybe I'll answer the question here and you can jump in with any clarifications. So as you can see on page 12, when we're looking at the property, as much as we do look at the capitalization rate for the property and we do value it using the income approach. So the city has used the income approach when valuing the property. We've used the income approach when looking at it. We've talked about the rental rate to apply. We've talked about a capitalization rate. However, the one challenge that we face, and I'm sure most people face when we're looking at a capitalization rate, is we don't actually have the financial information for each one of the properties. So as Grayson indicated, we have to make some assumptions on what an appropriate rental rate would be, what an appropriate vacancy rate and non-recoverable would be for those properties to generate a capitalization rate. So the reason we're looking at the sales is just more as a secondary check. So we're saying, based on what we're seeing, based on our parameters, we're calculating a capitalization rate of 7.1%. when we apply that 7.1% to the property, what's the value on a per square foot basis? And how does that line up with similar sales? Because when we're looking at sales per square foot, it's a pretty simple calculation. Sale price divided by area. We don't have to make any determinations or decisions about rental rates or anything like that. So it's just more of is that resulting value, is it a reasonable value based on our overall valuation? Does that make sense?
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
No, let's leave it at that. Thank you very much for clarifying. No further questions, Mr. Chair.
Bill, any questions?
Yes, again, on page 11, you've come up with sales comparisons to come up with a median value of $62.57. Comparing that with the 580 Berry, which you had valued at 75, which is valued at 75 million. Again, you've used these sale dates, the actual sale dates for your calculations, correct?
Correct.
However, the valuation is supposed to be based on a sales date of, or should be based on a sales date of April 1st, 2021, correct? Or 20, yeah. So these sale prices are not adjusted to April 1st, 2021. So for example, the bottom 4 comparisons, those properties are 4 and 5 years older than 2021, correct?
Yeah, correct.
So those sold in April, on April 1st, 2021, you think the value would be higher than what you have here?
Yeah, potentially.
Maybe I can jump in here. It's a little difficult. So when it comes to industrial, I mean, we certainly know that the market has been changing, but it's always a little difficult to know what the magnitude is, particularly when we don't have things such as paired sales to do a paired sales analysis. You know, and in this situation, what we've done is we took a look. We didn't really see much of a difference between the sale prices of the newer properties. So you can see some of the properties like 160 Eagle, you know, and compared, we didn't see enough reason to really support the fact that there must have a change there.
Okay. No further questions.
So I'm just trying to get my mind around this. The 580 is the smaller of the 2 properties, and you want to put them, you want us to look like it's one property, and these, because the other one's larger, of course, the rent rate would be down. Did they purchase them as one unit when they bought it?
Unfortunately, Mr. Chair, I'm not sure how they purchase the properties, if they purchase them together or if they purchase them separately and combine them later on.
Okay.
However, we have been through the property, and that walkway does connect both properties. It is a breezeway between the properties that is used for both a loading dock as well as to access both properties.
Yeah. Okay, leave it with me. Anything in summation from your side? As I got you on the screen.
From our side, Mr. Chair, I think, you know, again, I think the major difference between the way we've looked at the property and the way the assessment department has looked at the property really is just in terms of the size. What we've looked at for comparables, and how we're treating that property, whether it's being treated as one and being valued as the larger property, or whether or not it's being considered as a smaller property. So, you know, it's our position that considering the properties are combined and attached, that they would sell as one. You know, while we recognize there is a mechanism that we'll certainly pursue and look to combine the properties or talk to the owner about doing so, at this point in time, you know, again, when we determine a value, we think we have to take a look at the property as a whole. Thank you. Grayson, do you want to add anything?
I have nothing further to add. Thank you.
Thanks.
Matthew?
I guess the only thing I'll just mention, yeah, like, you know, I understand that they are connected. In my personal opinion, like, you know, I understand there is a connection, but really at the end of the day, like, I don't think there's anything to state that they couldn't be these buildings. It's not like one is dependent on the other per se. Like if you were to, let's say, remove that breezeway, I think they could easily be independent of each other, but that's how it is connected. I won't dispute that, but that's my personal thoughts on that. But that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay. That will conclude that matter. Our next property will be 1129 Fife. And I better shut my phone off. Get the file. Fife. Come on. Matthew, when you're ready on 1155 price on Quantum, correct?
That's correct. Thanks, Chairman. The file number is 22-3790. The roll number is 1405-228-3300. The address is 11295 Street, and the owners are 11295 Incorporated. The 2023 assessed value based on a reference date of April 1st, 2021 is $915,000. Look at the bottom of page 1 of my brief. You'll see this is a one-story building. The effective year built is and actual year built are 1968. The wall heights are 15 feet. The land area is 27,740 square feet with a plan area of 10,340 square feet. Then with the leasable area of 10,150 square feet, which gives us an overall land plan area of 2.68. We go to page 2 of my brief. You'll see the request for information have been received. The last time this property sold was in 2019. However, this was like a dollar sale, so this is not a arm's length or bona fide sale. And we currently don't have any subject leases in place. We turn to page 3 of my brief. You'll see the income workup. So this property is actually considered a flex warehouse. So you'll see there are 5 premises on this property, and you'll see the different leasable areas. So the total leasable area of all these areas is 10,150 square feet. And you'll see our overall rents for each of these areas. We are using an overall rent of $5.83 a square foot. Multiplying that by the leasable area gives us a potential rent of $59,173. We're allowing 4% for vacancy, which gives us an effective gross income of $56,806. We are applying 3% for non-recoverable expenses, as well as $3.85 a square foot as shortfall, which gives us an overall net operating income of $53,539. And lastly, we're applying an overall capitalization rate of 5.85%, which gives us an estimated value of $915,000. We turn to page 4 of my brief. You'll see my rent comparables. So these rent comparables, they range some locations. We have Fife Street, Keewatin, McPhillips, Richard, St. James, Dublin. So it's around the St. James, Inkster Industrial Park, as well as around McPhillips. So these are all similar types of flex warehouse types of buildings. So if you look at the leasable areas, they range from 1,200 to 3,420 square feet. The wall heights range from 13 to 17 feet. The effective year builds range from 1965 to 1980. And the net rents range from $6 a square foot up to $13 a square foot. And again, we're applying a $5.83 a square foot for the subject. So I believe our model rent is supported by my comparables. Turning to page 5 of my brief, again, we're applying a capitalization rate of 5.85%. So it does fall within our indicated 20th to 80th percentile. It is slightly lower than some of the other published rates. However, I will note this is a flex warehouse. It's a smaller building. And typically flex warehouses will have less risk than, like, say, a single storage warehouse building. So, you know, if one tenant vacates, you know, it's not going to be, they're not going to lose all their income. So there is a bit of less risk in the sense with a building of this type, these different types of rents. So that would be the reason, some of the reasons for the lower cap rate. We go to page 6 of my brief, again, just some municipal assessment act information. If we turn to page 7 of my brief, you'll see the subject property maps of this. So the subject at the top there, you'll see it's located on, again, Fife Street. Just further north of this would be Inkster Boulevard, and then just further west is actually Church Avenue. So this is located within the Inkster Industrial Park. Going to the bottom of page 7, you'll just see more of a zoomed in photo, again, where the subject's located on Fife Street, and then you'll just see Troy Avenue and Admiral, just the substreets close to the subject. Going to page 8 of my brief, this is just a street view of the front view of the subject. So you'll see it's a Flex Warehouse building, you'll see the multiple entrances for each of the units. Bottom of page 8, this is just a side view of the building, just one of the other tenant entrances. And if you turn to page 9, at the top there, you'll just see a rear view of the subject property. And at the bottom of page 9, you'll just see kind of the overall parcel of the subject and where the building is situated on the piece of land. Going to page 10, you'll just see, again, another view from a different angle, and you'll just see the different areas, or the different, as I mentioned, the Flex Warehouse, you'll just see the different unit numbers for each of the premises and the property. And then just at the bottom of page 10, you'll see the rear view subject. And this just continues on page 11, again, just showing different views of the property, just to kind of show the overall positioning of it. And if we go to page 12 of my brief, this is the income and expense mailer that has been provided by the property owner. That concludes my presentation. I ask the board to confirm the value, and I am open up for questions. Thank you.
Wesley, questions?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. If we can move to page 4, please. So the first lease for 1216 Fife Street at 13 a square foot. Is that common for an industrial property?
Well, as I said, this is it's a Flex Warehouse building. So, and it's a small, as you can see, it's a smaller leased area. So you're going to see varying rates. I know that's the highest one. It is a net rent, but again, you're going to see varying rates. So yeah, this is a bit higher than typical, I guess. So yeah, but
in looking at this building, it did, online, it did look like this was more of an office. Is that, would you be able to give like more of an office building? I didn't notice any bay doors. Would you be able to give any color around that?
Let me just quickly check here. I mean, we are obviously applying, it is considered an industrial Flex Warehouse. There are multiple, yeah, this one has multiple buildings on it. So the one at the front, yeah, would be 1200. I can't state for surely if it's an office. We classify it as an industrial Flex Warehouse. So, but it depends. Like, I mean, it's similar age, similar wall height. So, again, it's a slightly older lease at 2017, but you're right. There's going to be some variations in net rents. So I won't dispute this one will be a bit higher than typical, but
okay.
This is the information we got from the mailer they provided us for this particular property. So.
Okay, and then for for the subject property, you would agree that the rents in the property are ranging, if we look on page 15, range from kind of $5 to $6 a square foot, correct? So
yes, the leases. Yeah, there's a couple of them that are a bit older leases, but yes, I won't dispute that. Yes, correct.
So quite a bit low. It'd be quite a bit lower than what that 13 is.
Oh yeah, definitely lower than that for sure. Yeah. I won't dispute that. Yes.
Okay, all right, fair enough. I guess the other question, and I know you touched on it briefly, but if you go to page 5, be brief.
Yep.
Okay, so so the capitalization rate information. So when we take a look at this, you see you got the industrial capitalization rates and I see that there's an industrial A, industrial B. Would this be more in line with an industrial A or an industrial B type property?
I mean, we don't really like classify it specifically, but I mean, A and B would be like, A would be more of like a newer finish, B would be kind of more of an average finish. So yeah, I guess it would be more of an average. This would be more an average finish building based on its age, wall height, size, and such like that. So yeah.
Okay. And then when I take a look, I see Colliers for Q1 is saying 6 to 6 3/4 for cap. CBRE is saying 6.5 to 7 1/4. Cushman Whitfield is saying 6 1/4 to 6.75. I know you mentioned this, but again, if we take a look at that compared to the subject property with a capitalization rate of 5.85, doesn't that suggest that capitalization rate might be a little bit on the low side?
Well, as I stated, being a smaller building, Flex Warehouse, less risk. That, as I stated, those would be the major reasons for the lower cap rate. I can't really, speak to the published rates per se, because we don't know what sales they typically use, but yes, I won't dispute it is slightly lower than those indicated rates, but as I stated, it's because of, I believe, the lower risk, but yeah, I won't dispute that, so.
Okay, all right. All right, and then when we take a look at the clear wall height on page 1, we can see it's 15 foot. So 15 foot, would you say that would be on the high side, on the average side, on the low side when it comes to these type of buildings?
Well, for these types of buildings, I've actually inspected this building, not recently, but I've been in the past, and these are smaller flex warehouse unit buildings. So typically these type of spaces, they're using them more or less for kind of more of like, spaces for like office or almost like a, for like a business. So they typically don't need like, let's say 20-foot wall heights, because they're not like having big warehouse space. So for these types of buildings, older ones especially, I don't think it's too uncommon to see this wall height for what they're using. So yeah.
And since you went through the property, would you say when you go through the units, would you say there's how are they configured? Would like there be an office and industrial component within the building, within the spaces?
Yeah, like they would kind of have in the front, let's say more of a kind of like an office kind of little space, and in the back they might have like kind of more of a warehouse space. Like I said, I haven't been there in a few years, but I can't imagine it's changed much since I've been there. But for the ones I did inspect, yeah, it was kind of like almost like a bit of office in the front, and then the back they'd have kind of like maybe like a bit of a storage kind of space, if you will. So,
and each one of these units has a bay door, correct? At the back,
I believe they do. Yeah, in the back. Yeah, correct. Yeah, they each have one. Yeah, I mean, some of them are combined. I think like some of the tenants, there's like two tenants in one unit. But yes, they do have bay doors at the back. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Excellent. Thank you so much. Grayson, do you have any questions?
I have no questions.
Excellent. Thank you.
Bill, do you have any questions?
Just on page 3 on your valuation workup, you have the 5 different premises there.
Correct.
And different, well, they're almost the same, I guess, but there are slight differences in the square foot amount.
Correct. Yeah.
What would be the reason for that?
Like I said, each of the units, like for example, like for example, if you look at number, I guess premise ID 13537, it's a 3,300 square feet. That actual unit is actually being used by one tenant, so they've combined 2 units into one. So when we put them into our system, if a tenant's using 2 units, we're just going to combine them into one. So really, these would all be smaller, like 1,600 square foot units. But since they've combined that one unit they're both using, we've just combined it like that. But the leasable area matches what it is on the mailer, so it's still all the same leasable area. But and typically, if you're gonna have a higher, just using economies of scale, like typically a leasable area that's higher is gonna have a little bit lower rent than one that's smaller. So
Your vacancy loss is a little lower than what you've been allowing in your other presentations today.
yeah, the vacancy it would vary like on location. So obviously, when we look at our vacancy, we're looking at vacancy reports and looking at what the actual vacancy in these areas is, especially when we look at the mailers too. So St. James is going to have different vacancy than an Inkster Industrial or St. Boniface. So the vacancy will be vary depending on area. So we don't just have one vacancy; it really depends. So.
Okay, and then the cap rate of 5.85. Can you speak to again how you arrived at that cap rate?
Well, again, our cap rates are derived based on actual sales. So we'll look at actual sales of properties that sold. So we try our best to find comparable sales that would be most similar to the subject. And as I stated, like I kind of mentioned before, Mr. Van Bruggen, the reason for the lower cap rate would be it's a smaller flex warehouse. As I stated, with the flex warehouse, typically there's going to be a little bit less risk than a single storage warehouse, because if you have one tenant in a big building and they all leave, then you lose all that income. Whereas with this, if you maybe lose one tenant, it's much easier to tenant out spaces that are smaller than it is a big larger area. So factors of that nature would be the driving factor for the cap rate as well. So also locations in Inkster Industrial, so it's a good area for industrial properties. So those would be some of the factors that would play into the cap rate we've applied. So.
All right. I have no further questions, Mr. Chair.
Richard, any questions?
I don't, thank you.
Is this zoned as light manufacturing or?
M2 manufacturing, so M2 general. Yeah.
Okay, then M2 general, right?
Yeah.
That's unusual for this type of building, isn't it?
No, like, I mean, M1, M2 is pretty typical. We'll see for this. If it was M3, that would be untypical. But M1 and M2, they're pretty similar in terms of the types of things you can build on them, honestly. So there's a bit more obviously variables or more you can build with M2, but you know, I don't think it's too uncommon, honestly. So
Okay. Your rent that you put on each unit, did you say you took that from the actual rents that they were putting in?
no, these are model rents. So
They're model rents. Okay.
correct.
Are they falling close to what the actuals were?
There's well, looking at the my mailer, there's a couple of rents here. One of them that's $5.50, one's at $6, one's at $5.50. Yeah, yeah, I'm sure you can see them. Yeah, so so yeah, there's some similarities. You know, one of them, for example, like I've noticed it's an older term lease, so I don't know if there's been a step up on that lease or not. So the first two though would be fairly recent leases. You can see 2020 and 2020, so those would be the fairly recent. The ones at the bottom here, like it's a bit older too. So I don't know the specifics of the terms of those leases, like if there have been step ups or what the case is. But yeah, so those are the leases that they currently have. So
okay, and what was your overall total on your lease again? You said at the beginning.
our overall rent was $5.83 a square foot.
$5.83 a square foot. I had missed that. Thank you.
No problem.
Let's go on to your presentation, Wesley.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. All right, everyone, if the board can turn with me to page 3, we'll get started. So as mentioned, the subject property is a 10,150 square foot industrial warehouse located in the Inkster industrial neighborhood. The property has been assessed using the income approach to value. The property was constructed in 1968 and sits on 27,740 square feet of land. The property has been assessed at a value of $915,000. M&P's position that this value is incorrect. We are requesting a value of $806,000 for that property. The board can turn with me to page 5. On page 5, we have a requested value. So a table basically showing the difference between the assessed value and a requested value. So here you can see that we have 2 parameters that we're requesting changed. The first is the the first is the income for the property. So the property has been assessed with a potential income of $59,173. M&P is requesting a value of $55,825 a square foot. That's a rate of $5.50 a square foot for that. As well, we can see that the property has been assessed with a capitalization rate of 6.85%. M&P is requesting a capitalization rate of 6.25%, resulting in that value request of $806,000. Page 6 and 7 is the income information from the City of Winnipeg assessment website, just showing the parameters which have been used for the property. Page 8, we have a location map provided by the City of Winnipeg assessment website, again, just showing the location where that property is located along 5th Street. Page 9, we have a satellite map. This is zoomed out a little bit just to give the board a sense of where the property is located. The property has been identified with the arrow in the middle of the page in the red pin there. Page 10 and 11 are just some exterior pictures of that property, showing what that property looks like. You can see on page 11 the back of the property with the bay doors. And the board will turn with me to page 12. On page 12, we have the valuation. As mentioned, our first issue for the property is the rental rate. So the property has been assessed with a blended rental rate of $5.82 a square foot. As you can see, the property has, from the assessment department, has a couple different units. When we take a look at the blended rental rate overall, it's $5.82 a square foot. When we take a look at the actual leasing for the property, we can see actual leasing for the property is taking place at a rate rents between $5 and $6 a square foot, with the overall blended rental rate coming in at $5.50 a square foot, as I identified there. Additionally, we've taken a look at some other properties similar within the area, and with leases that's kind of ranging from 2017 to 2019. Here we've provided a table there for the board. We can see that we've got 8 leases. We can see that these leases range from May 1st, 2017 to January 1st, 2019. The terms are between 3 to 5 years. The size of space is between 1,200 square foot square feet to 4,500 square feet. So very similar to what we've seen for the subject property. Clear wall heights between 14 and 16 feet. Again, similar in terms of what we're looking at. And then we take a look at the year of construction. The subject property was constructed, as previously mentioned, in 1968. We can see that these range between 1957 to 1968, so very similar. When we take a look at the rents, we can see the rents from these suites. Leases are coming in at rates ranging from $4.50 to a high of $5.75. And when we take a look at the location, we can see that we have two buildings from Fife. We have 1161 Fife Street and 1145 Fife Street, which would be located in very close proximity to the subject property. As well, we have property 85 Sutherland Ave that we've also taken a look at. So overall, when we take a look at these leases that are coming from the properties, and we take a look at the rental rate the property is actually achieving, it's our position that a rental rate for the property of $5.50 would not be unreasonable, considering what's actually happening within the area. If the board will move with me to page 13. On page 13, we have the issue of the capitalization rate. As mentioned, the property has been assessed with a capitalization rate of $5.85 per square foot. And when we take a look at the market reports, Colliers, Seabury, Cushman, Wakefield, we can see that that industrial B quality properties, they start at a capitalization rate of 6% and go up from there. We can see that Colliers has a capitalization rate between 6 to 6.75% for industrial B properties. CBRE has a capitalization rate between 6.5 to 7.25%, and Cushman and Wakefield has a capitalization rate ranging from 6.25 to 6.75%. So again, when we take a look at this, the leases of these properties, it's really a position that a reasonable capitalization rate for the property would be at minimum 6.25%. We feel that would be a pretty reasonable approach. Page 14, we have the conclusion. So taking a look at the property using a rental rate of $5.50 a square foot, as well as the requested capitalization rate of 6.25%, M&P is arriving at a requested value of $806,000 for the property. Page 15 and 16 are some supporting documentation, so the notice of hearing. Page 18, we have the rent roll for the property here, just showing the leasing from the property. Again, we've already seen this provided by the assessment department, but you can see here, this is as of April 1st, 2021. Leasing coming out of the property ranges from $5 to $6 a square foot. And when we take a look on page 19, we can see the base rent for the property is $5.50 a square foot. So right along where right in terms of where we had asked. Starting at page 21, we have market reports for the properties. So starting on page 21, we have the Colliers Q1 2021 Canadian capitalization rate market report. If the board will turn with me to page 25, please. I'll just give a moment to get there. And just let me know when you're there.
I'm there.
Thank you. So here we can show the Canadian capitalization rates. You can see one in the first chart, 4 from the bottom, Winnipeg. This is for industrial properties. Class A industrial properties range from 6 to 675, and Class B from 6 to 675 there. If the board will move with me to page 28, this is the Q1 2021 CBRE market report. And if the board moves with me to page 33. And just let me know when you're there.
Is this on the Colliers report, page 33?
33, this is the CBRE market report.
Okay, good.
Yeah. So here we can see, again, we have Winnipeg investment trends. It's identified Q1 2021 capitalization rates. We can see industrial properties. They're showing slightly different than what we saw for Colliers. We can see that industrial A capitalization rates range from 575 to 650, and B from 650 to 6.25 or 7.25. And then finally, if the board will turn with me to page 34. 34, we have Q1 2021 capitalization rates. We can see Winnipeg, again, outlining what those capitalization rates are there at 6.5 to 7.25. So again, when we take a look at this, it's really our position that considering the capitalization rates for these property that's been applied to the property, that capitalization rate should be at minimum 6.25% to account for how these properties typically transact within the market. Page 38, continuing on to page 60, is the valuation of income producing properties provided by the City of Winnipeg. With that, I conclude my presentation, and I welcome any questions from the board or from the city. Thank you very much.
Matthew, questions?
No, I think my questions have been answered. Thank you.
Richard, questions?
No, I don't. Thank you.
Bill?
No, I don't. Thank you.
And I'm good as well. So let's move on to the next property, which will be 175 Sutherland. Let's pull it up.
Excellent.
Everybody good?
Yep.
Okay, when you're ready, Matthew, on value.
Yeah, it's just in quantum. Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah.
The file number is 22-495. The roll number is 14000788000. The address is 175 Sutherland Avenue, and the owner is Vent Air Industries Limited. The 2023 assessed value based on a reference date of April 1st, 2021 is $1,192,000. Going to page 1 of my brief, you'll see the property description information. So this is a one-story building. The actual year builds range from 1893 to 1978, with the effective year builds ranging from 1933 to 1978. The wall heights range from 12 to 17 feet. The land area ranges from 33,960, or the land area is 33,962 square feet, with a planned area of 18,581 square feet, and a leasable area of 18,581 square feet, which gives us an overall land plan area of 1.83. Just a quick note, I will notice out of the 18,000 square feet leasable area, there's 3,000 square feet of it would be the oldest portion at 1933. So the majority of the building is between 1950 and 1978. So there is a small portion that was built in 1933, and we're using an overall effective year built of 1955. So going to page 2 of my brief, you'll see the request for information has been received. There are no sales, there were no recent sales on the property, and there are no subject property leases in place. If we turn to page 3 of my brief, you'll see my income workup. So again, have a leasable area of 18,581 square feet. We're using a model rent of $6.29 a square foot, which gives us a potential rent of $116,874. We're applying 6.50% for vacancy loss, which gives us then an effective gross income of $109,277. We're allowing 3% for non-recoverable expenses and $3.85 square foot to cost to cover a vacancy, which gives us an overall net operating income of $101,349. And lastly, we're applying an overall capitalization rate of 8.50%, which gives us the estimated value of $1,192,000. If we turn to page 4 of my brief, you'll see my rent comparables. So my rent comparables, you'll see the locations. We have Sargent Avenue, St. Matthews, Notre Dame, Stapleton, King Edward, Notre Dame. So these are some of the locations on my comparables. The lease start dates range from 2018 to 2021. The terms range from 2 to 6 years. The leasable areas range from 15,000 square feet to 22,758 square feet. The wall heights range from 17 to 18 feet. The effective year builds range from 1959 to 1980. And the overall net rents range from $6.50 a square foot to $8.78 a square foot. And again, we're applying a model rate of $6.29 a square foot. If we go to page 5 of my brief, capitalization rate information. Now again, we're using an 8.5% cap rate. So obviously this falls kind of out of the typical 20th, 80th percentile. So this would fall within the 90th to 100th percentile for cap rates. The reasoning for the higher cap rate would be due to the fact of obviously the building having being an older building, just looking at the effect of the actual year built, some of the parcels, as well as the land to plan area, which is 1.83. So that's definitely a lower land to plan ratio. So these would be some of the driving factors for that higher cap rate. So I feel like we're reflecting some of these issues with the building with that higher cap rate. So I believe the cap rate is supported. Go on to page 6 of my brief, just the Municipal Assessment Act observed information. If we continue to page 7, you'll just see the subject property map. So the top, the top there, you'll see the subject property where it's located on Sutherland Avenue, just the properties that are close by. So this is kind of in the obviously around downtown area. So at the bottom of page 7, you'll just see more of a zoomed in photo of the subject where it's located on Sutherland and just Austin, Jarvis, and Maple Street, which are close by. If we turn to page 8, you'll see a street view of the photo of the subject at the top. So you'll just see the front view of the building, and then at the bottom of page 8, you'll just see kind of just another view of angled view, just to show the whole entire building in its entirety. Page 9 of my brief, you'll just see the parking area that the building has. Bottom of page 9, you'll just see the actual aerial view of the subject, just showing the building itself, where it's situated in the parcel. This continues on page 10, just showing again different views of the subject. Again, turning to page 11, you just see the rear of the subject. And then bottom of page 11, again, just another view just to show the overall property in its entirety. If you go to page 12 and 13, this is the income expense mail that has been provided. This is a fully owner-occupied property, so there are no leases in place. And with that, that concludes my presentation. I asked the board to confirm the value, and I am open for questions. Thank you.
Wesley, any questions?
I don't think I have any questions at this time, Mr. Chair. Thank you. Grayson?
Either. Thank you.
Nothing. Okay. Richard?
I have none, thank you.
Bill?
Yes, I have a couple, I guess. You were talking about the age of the building, and I didn't quite catch something you said.
I apologize. Yeah.
About the ages of the effective age of the building. You mentioned 1955. Was that overall effective age? Is that what you meant there by that?
Yes, that is correct. Yeah, the overall effective year built would be 1955.
Okay, just a question about process here. That's the first time I heard somebody say that before, an overall effective age.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
And I think that's a much better metric in terms of evaluating the age of a property. So I'm wondering why the department doesn't do that all the time, doesn't have that as a line item, overall effective year built.
Yeah, like, I mean, we always, like, I personally, when I do my hearings, I always mention it, because you're right, obviously, because buildings, there's going to be different stages, right? So of course, like, it could be, additions and such, so that's going to affect the overall effective year built. So, yeah, I can't speak to why we don't put it in there normally. We do when we assess it. That's how we do use the effective year built overall. I guess we just don't show it in our briefs, but maybe going forward, that's something we could throw in there just to. I always mention it because, like, you're right. It's going to have a, because you're right. Sometimes you might see a building where there's a range, but you don't really know, what would this building really be? What's the actual year built of this based on its additions and such. So yeah, I don't dispute that. I think it's a good idea, and that's why I always mention it. But yeah, 1955 is kind of roughly what it would be.
It provides the information that you're really looking for, right? Yeah. What is the overall effective age of the property?
Yeah.
Okay.
I totally agree.
Fair enough. No, I appreciate that too. The rent comparables that you used so this backs up your model, correct?
These are, yeah, I won't dispute that these some of these are a bit higher rates. These are you could argue these are in slightly better locations. So, like, obviously Sargent's in St. James, Stapleton. This is actually located more of like kind of around Nairn Avenue, just further south of Nairn. King Edward on St. James, and Notre Dame probably in St. Matthews would be the closest in terms of locations being central. These buildings are similar in terms of, like, they're slightly newer, and like the wall heights, the wall heights kind of are kind of close to the subject, being 12 to 17. So whereas my comparables range from 7 to 18. But I won't dispute some of these would be superior. So I'm kind of showing, well, these buildings are similar in terms of attributes, but they might be in a little bit better location. But they are still higher than our rate, so that's why I'm kind of saying I think our rent is supported though. So as these buildings are similar, but they are a little bit superior. But again, since they are superior, they would have higher rates, so we're not like going that high, I guess. So.
And in your answer, you answered my next question about the location, so I don't need to ask that question.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, no further questions then.
My turn. Is this the property behind it is also theirs, correct?
Let me give me 2 seconds. I just want to verify that. I think right. I can just pull it up. Give me 2 seconds here.
I'm just wondering why they weren't both heard together.
The one behind it, let me just check here. Vent, yeah, it is behind it. That is correct. Yeah, that is. But you know what? That actually, it's a different. That's a different classification. So it's actually like I think it's an office or a commercial property. So we have it classified. So we wouldn't put it on the same dock, because we're doing industrial this, so we wouldn't really typically combine them, I guess. So, but yeah, they are owned by the same property owner, but it's a different property type class. So it's I said it's commercial. So. I think
they're both commercial.
This one, yeah, I guess in terms of commercial, but it's a different classification how we're assessing this one. So we're not like I think it's considered a vehicle service garage or something like that. So I can't speak to I don't make decisions on the planning board. That's obviously partially, but yeah.
No, but yeah, because I think the back one was vehicle service garage.
Yes, that is correct. It is a vehicle service garage. That is correct. Yeah.
That's why I'm remembering it.
Yeah, because it looks like yes, it was her. Yeah, it was heard actually in November. Yeah, so yeah.
Wasn't that long ago. My mind still works a little bit.
Yeah, no, you got it. Yeah.
I think I asked the same question that time. Why aren't we dealing with the whole property of one? But anyway.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, just vice versa.
Because I won't go there.
Yeah, no, I some of the planning stuff I don't dispute, honestly. So
yeah, I'll leave that alone. Wesley, make your presentation, please.
Grayson's going to do this one, but I'll jump in if necessary.
Well, Grayson can handle it.
Yeah, we got musical chairs going on here. So again, I'll start on page 3. Quick description. Subject property is an 18,581 square foot storage warehouse located in North Point, Douglas. As we've just mentioned, it has an assessed age of 1955 and has been once again assessed using the income approach. So we believe that the assessment amount of $1,192,000 has been overstated, and we are requesting a new assessed value of $1,013,000. On page 4, again, we just have the assessment information. And page 5, we have our requested assessment summary. So again, we don't dispute the rental rate here. We've only looked at the capitalization rate. So again, on the left, we have the assessment. It's been assessed at 8.5% capitalization rate. And we're requesting that be increased to 10%. Which brings us to a new value of $1,013,000. Page 6 through 7, we have the current assessment. And on page 8, we have the commercial details. So again, this is where it shows that it's kind of been split into 4 portions, each portion built in a different year. We don't dispute the effective year built of 1955. On page 9, we just have the assessment map and the overhead map. Again, very similar to what was in Matthew's presentation. And again, very similar photos on page 10. Nothing super notable about these photos, I would say. So on page 11, we start our valuation. So again, we've looked at sales. The assessed value comes out to $64.15 per square foot. And looking at these sales we've identified, comparable properties are selling from roughly $45 to $62 per square foot. And so again, we're not looking at the sales approach here. We're just kind of using this as a check. So we see here that the average sale price is $51.74 per square foot, and the median is $50.32 per square foot. We see that that's fairly significantly lower than the assessed value of $64.15. If we were to use our requested assessment of $1,013,000, that would give us a value of $54.54 per square foot, which we feel aligns more closely with the sales that we've identified. So again, going over a few of these sales, our best sale, we believe, is that first one, 516 to 530 Dufferin. So this was the most recent sale by quite a bit, sold in November 2020. It's the closest comparable in terms of size. It's reasonably close in terms of year of construction. And if everyone turns with me down to page 13, we have a map of all these sales. It's also probably closest in proximity. It's that red pin there, maybe about the same as 1018 Sherbrooke. And this light blue pin is the subject property. And then if everyone will flip down with me to page 17, we have photos of the sales comparables. And just looking at that top photo on this page, 516 to 530 Dufferin, it just looks similar to the property, just visually. Similar facade, looks like similar use. So we believe that is our best comparable. And then jumping back up to page 11, we see that that property sold for $56.40 per square foot. And another comparable property here we have is 576 Wall Street. That one is the second from the bottom. This one is the closest in terms of age and similar in terms of size. Again, moving to page 13 in the map, this is the yellow pin, so it is a little bit further away from the subject property, but we included that because we do believe that this one is more comparable than some of the others that we have listed. And to illustrate that, if we could just flip to page 18. So this one, 576 Wall Street, is the one on the bottom. Again, it just resembles the subject property fairly closely. And moving back to page 11, that one sold in 2017 for $44.81 per square foot. So from all these sales, again, we believe that the assessed value should be lowered by about $10 per square foot to our requested valuation, which would be $54.54 per square foot. And then so we've used those sales to come up with our valuation, come up with our capitalization rate. So again, same thing as the other properties here. We don't have the financials to determine the actual income that these properties achieved at the time of sale. So we've just used the assessed rental rate of $6.29 per square foot, as well as the assessed vacancy rate, expenses, shortfall. So when we look at the cap rates that have come from this, we see they're ranging from about 8.75% to 12.17%. If we look at our closest comparables at 516 to 530 Dufferin, we see that one at 9.67% and 576 Wall Street at 12.17%. And so from all this, we get an average cap rate of 10.72%, a median of 10.84%. And from that, we believe that a capitalization rate of 10% would be reasonable to apply here. Again, on page 13, we just have all these sales plotted on a map with that blue pin being the subject property. And looking at these sales, we kind of tried to prioritize sales that were close in proximity. And then in summary, on page 14, again, the only thing we're requesting here is that the capitalization rate be increased from 8.5% to 10%, and the assessment be reduced from $1,192,000 to $1,013,000. And then again, we have our supporting documentation after that with the notice of hearing, and then the photos of comparable sales from page 17 to 19. The Johnson report with the sales documentation from page 20 to 26. And then the Winnipeg assessment guidelines beyond that. And with that, I welcome any questions.
Matthew, any questions?
No, I think I'm good. Thank you.
Bill, any questions?
I have no questions, thank you.
Richard, any questions?
I have no questions. Thank you.
Anything in summation, gentlemen?
No, I think I just let the board make the decision based on the evidence, so I'll leave it at that.
Okay, Wes, Grayson, anything?
I think we're good, Mr. Chair. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen. We've heard all the items scheduled, and this hearing is now adjourned.
Excellent.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks everyone for your time. Appreciate it. Have a wonderful
Thank
rest
you.
of the day. Good weekend.
Take care.
Take care.
We're gonna take a few minutes, okay, guys? 5 or 10?
Okay.